Hey everyone, Soundwave 84 or Screamwave 884 for the Halloween season here of October, and I talk about these scary movies or slasher flicks. Today's tier ranking, I'm going to rank the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and I got this list here on Tier Maker. This one is actually done by Cody Leach, YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm subscribed. I watch his stuff. He's got pretty good content, especially based on the horror movies and stuff. So I say go if you're not subscribed to him. I mean, he's got a lot more followers than I do, but if you catch me first somehow, go subscribe to him. But yeah, here we're going to tier rank the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, going from one through the remake. And yes, we have Freddy versus Jason. He's got Dreamy as being the best, followed by Good, watchable. Snooze Fest, I'm going with, I guess that's pretty boring, might put you to sleep. And Nightmare, meaning it's just straight up crap. Best way of saying it, for a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you don't want to have this nightmare. So I'm trying to make this video short, sweet, and quick, and not go as in depth about each film. Just give a brief reason why I'm putting it where I'm putting it, and get to the point. However, before I get to that, you can subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Rank your films here, and also got my two NECA Freddys right here from part one and part three. I don't have part two. I never got part two. I want to get part twos, but I haven't got it yet. So they're gonna be my co-pilots for this. They're gonna be my angel and devil on my shoulders to tell me which ones go where. What? Okay. Also, if you're just finding me, I also do toy reviews. So if you like toy reviews, especially Transformers, you can see mostly that's what's behind me. That's mostly why I review, but I do review other things as well. You go ahead and click the subscribe button or check out my other content. So let's get to the first one here. Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first movie by Wes Craven. Uh, it's a good movie. I feel that parts of the movie hasn't aged well, and that's mostly just like the end of the movie. The biggest nitpick I have how Freddy is defeated. I feel like it's very anticlimactic in a lot of these. So that's not just the first one, not just like all the others. I feel like the way they had to come up with some ways to beat Freddy, and it feels like a letdown when they finally do. I'll mention more when I get to some of the other ones. But first, Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first one. Overall, it's an entertaining movie. Freddy is kept mostly in the shadows, mostly in the dark. He does have a few little funny bits, but he's not comical Freddy yet, where he's just outright, a cartoon character. But I'm gonna take this one. I'm going to put it. I'll put it in dreamy. Now we got Freddy's Revenge, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two. I hated this movie for the longest, just because it was just I have reasons for this, but it's actually one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies I actually got my wife to watch with me. That's back a few years ago. I think it was AMC would run a marathon around Halloween of like all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. We watched part two together, and part two, she could handle it because it wasn't outright scary. Part three started, and the little girls are jumping rope, and she's like, "Nah, I'm out." But part two, my biggest complaint on part two now is just the sheer fact of that it's not the same. It's a change of the formula. Instead of haunting the dreams in a way, he wants to be real and take Jesse's body and be alive in the real world. Why would you want to give up these powers in the dream world where you can do all this stuff and come back in the real world, which is how you were defeated the first time? I just don't follow that. Otherwise, the movie is out there. It's enjoyable. It has one of the best Freddy looks, that's for sure. His makeup is really good. Also has one of the best lines of Freddy when you're all my children. So I really didn't like it a lot when I was a kid, or even to being a teenager and in my 20s, 30s. But I've come around to it a little bit more. Kind of like Friday the 13th Part 5. I watch it as being one of the you know, outlier movies that's just really funny. You can sit down and watch it and have a different kind of time with it than you have with the other ones. But I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna put it at watchable. Yeah, it's got good stuff. It's got a lot of bad stuff in it too. Now we got Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. This is probably my favorite, so you know where it's gonna go already. Of the movies, it is a little, I don't say corny in places, but I do like the overall story. I also think this is probably the best way they defeat Freddy by doing the grave dig up, the holy water, doing the bones, burying them properly, and then tacking them in the dream world at the same time. I really love that ending there. I think has some of the best characters in the movie with Kincaid is really good. Kristen is good. Nancy's back. I even enjoy the doctor guy. His name is now slipping my mind. I'm bad with names. To let you know, I'm horrible with names. Good with faces, bad with names. So part three, of course, is going to go in dreamy. I'm gonna put this ahead of part one. Get ahead of part one. There you go. Now we're moving on to a Nightmare on Elm Street part four. I think it's the Dream Master. Now that one, enjoyed it a lot when I was younger. Also, that's mainly because I had a crush on Brooke Beast that played in the movie back then. From the show, Just the Ten of Us, I had a crush on her from that show. She was in this. Of course, Nancy was in that show. Heather Langenkamp, and also Joanne Willett was in part two, I think, on the bus, and she's also in that show. A lot of people from that show are in this. I think one of the other ones is from I can't remember her name, but I think she's in one of these movies as well. But part four, Freddie gets more to the more jokey than he was in part three. Part three had some jokes, but he was still menacing. Part four, he's still sort of menacing, but he's getting a little more comical. The kills are pretty cool. I really did love the cockroach kill. That is probably my favorite kill of the movie. I think that one's really good effects in that as well. Part four, I still find it a good time. I'll put it in good. I have a good time watching it, and I can rewatch that one. It does have parts that are corny, like the ending. I feel like the defeating of Freddy is anticlimactic when he just sees his reflection. But after that, the effects are really good. So that's what I'm gonna say about that one. Let's move on to part five, the Dream Child, and yeah, the Dan kill at the beginning, that's pretty cool. Otherwise, the movie's very slow in my opinion, and I just don't get much out of it. I'm going to put it in snooze fest. I see the story is okay overall, but like the actual plot they're trying to go for, I just don't think it's executed very well. So that's all I'm gonna say about that one very quick because that one's just not much one of my favorites. I don't rewatch it very often. Freddys Dead. Now, I've actually watched this one more than part five. It's also a very bad film, but Freddy is freaking hilarious in this. But he's also it's gone almost into the Looney Tunes aspect of stuff. Um, Otherwise, I think the acting in this one's kind of bad as well. None of the acting in all these movies isn't like the greatest. None of this is Oscar worthy stuff going on. But this movie here does have one of my favorite bits is when I think it's Carlos, I think it's his name. He's doing the map, and he's dreaming, and keeps unfolding it and unfolding it, and the line on it, that cracks me up, and I love that part. When then with the chalkboard and the hearing aid, I enjoy that. It's overly comical, but it is funny as hell. So part six though is still going to land in a snooze fest for me because while I like bits of the movie, again, it's just boring when it's not that parts I like. So, all right, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It's an okay film. I see what they're going for, but to me, it takes it out of the Freddy because like it really doesn't follow this because it's now going behind the scenes. All the previous movies were just movies. Being extra, I guess, meta what they're going for. But overall, it's still an enjoyable movie. I'm gonna put it in watchable. I know it's probably, I guess, what you could call a hot take or whatever. But I know people like this is usually one of their favorites. But for me, it's just too much of a departure from what I'm wanting, and I put that in watchable. Freddy versus Jason. It's corny at times. I enjoy it though for what it is and what it was going for. It's got some good visual effects with Freddy's makeup. Now it relies too heavily on CGI for some stuff though, like a lot of the blood, uh, you- CGI. It gets very gory though at the end, and you get what you're wanting. You get what you expect. You get Freddy versus Jason, and they go hard at the end. So overall, I had this one. I'll put this in good because I can have a good time watching this movie. It does have bits though where you're kind of like, but overall, I have a really good time with that one. Now we got the remake. I'm just gonna slide that right there. and Nightmare. Uh, it's not a, I mean, overall bad film. It's just Freddy Krueger is Robert Englund. Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger. It's hard to recast something when something is so ingrained in your mind, and you try to do a new spin on it. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't. Like the Joker can be played by multiple people, and people can like the multiple iterations of the Joker. But Freddy Krueger to me is Robert Englund, and there's really no one else that can really, I think, in my opinion, play this part and get me on board. I'm sure sometime, somewhere down the line, they can find somebody, but I just don't think it hit. Now you can recast Jason, Michael Myers. They don't talk. You can recast these characters. They're behind masks. You don't have to see them. They're behind makeup. Now, when it comes to Freddy, though, the actor who's playing Freddy has to portray this character, speak, has lines, and overall, it's just. I've watched it one time all the way through. I don't remember too much of it, and I've only seen bits and pieces of it since then, and I just can't bring myself to rewatch it, and that's why it goes in Nightmare. So that's my tier rankings for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Best one, in my opinion, is part three, followed by part one. Four and Freddy vs. Jason are good. Watchable, part two, New Nightmare. Snooze Fest is five and six. And then Nightmare is the remake. So that's my list. Let me know yours down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. And coming next week, I'll have another Halloween themed video about slasher or horror movies. Thanks for watching. Until the next one. Peace out.